You're listening to the Align and Inspire podcast. I'm your host, Lauren Monique, and in this episode, I want to chat to you about if you are a phase 1 expert or a phase 2. So this is a shift that really makes you stand out that I don't think enough people are really talking about. And honestly, I wish I had known it sooner because it would have saved me so much angst and worry and concern of feeling like imposter syndrome, if my program isn't good enough. Really understanding this helped me first normalize being in phase 1 and seeing the advantages, or that being in phase 1 is a normal part of your process and there's nothing wrong with being in phase 1. And in fact, there's a lot to really gain from being in phase 1, and what it looks like to be in phase 2 and how we want to get to that next level. So as you listen to this podcast, I would love for you to even think about, are you in that phase 1 or are you in phase 2? And here is what phase 1 looks like. So when I started running my program, I had this feeling that I was really just borrowing my mentor's knowledge. And that's a little bit about what phase 1 looks like. Is phase 1, it's not that you're copying, but you can feel really a sense of like, am I really an expert at this? Do I know enough about this? Because it feels like you're just taking the concepts and the pieces that you've learned and applying it to your programs and to your process. And that's normal. That's normal. And I don't think enough of us really speak about that, because I remember when I was creating my mentoring program for my teachers. So I helped teachers stop working evenings and weekends. And I did that strategically through systematizing, streamlining how they were working in their classrooms. But the other way that I did it was by helping people who felt like they weren't doing a good enough job and would end up over planning and over preparing. And I helped them let go of those fears and those feelings of imposter syndrome, and really helping them trust the content that they were creating for their students so they could save time. And actually, that is a lot of what I do now with entrepreneurs, only I don't just help you save time, I help you make more money, right? But when I first started, I remember feeling like I was taking all these concepts that I had learned from books, from courses that I had taken, from mentors that I had learned from, and it kind of felt like I was putting these puzzle pieces together, but it didn't fully feel like my own process. So I would take things like, one of the concepts that I taught was what was called domino routines. So it was the one routine that you could implement as a teacher that would help you in multiple other ways in your classroom and in your teaching experience that would save you time. And that concept was based on the one thing, like, I think it's not essentialism. It's the one thing. It's a book, and it was like, that was about what's the one thing, but I took it into the classroom, and I was like, what's the one thing that my clients need to do that's going to make an impact on all of the rest of their teaching? So it was basically looking for like that linchpin thing that if they just changed this one piece, it would make so much more of their teaching easier. So like, if I just fix this one part of their grading, it made their planning, their classroom management, their stress, their engagement with parents easier if they just fix this one thing. But it was based off of the one thing, a book that I had read, and I just applied it to the classroom. And at first, I felt like that wasn't the right thing to do. Like, everything I created needed to be original. And I was kind of struggling with that. Like, do I quote people? How does that look? What do I do around that? I would take things like, another one of my big mentors for when I was working with teachers was the Lazy Genius. If you've ever listened to her podcast, she's great. And I would take some of her concepts about prioritizing and simplifying, and I would apply it to the classroom. So when I first started, phase 1 felt very like I was taking other people's concepts and applying it to the classroom. That was phase 1. But phase 2 is when you can take the concepts and things that you've learned and you've applied them and applied them and applied them and applied them with your clients, and you're starting to develop your own signature process. You're starting to develop your own methodology, your own way of working with clients, and that's what develops your signature process. Does that make sense? So when I was working with my teacher clients, eventually I started to notice patterns and I started to notice limitations in what I was teaching. By working with my clients over and over again, I started to realize, okay, this is the process I actually need to take people through. And I developed my whole kind of methodology and my whole signature process from working and from what I call feedback loops. So feedback loops are not just Q&A, they're intentional checkpoints that you have with your clients that you use that feedback and you pour it back into your program. So even after this call today, I have been collecting so much feedback from my clients in signature program design, and I've been running it for a year now, and I have made updates, but I'm going to make new updates based on all of that feedback, those realizations and ahas. And as I've honed in, I'm going to pour that back into my program, and it's becoming more and more and more of my own signature, right? And so that's what phase 2 is when you're developing your own process. So one of my clients for a little while, she was helping children with, or helping families who have children with quote unquote picky eaters, or who have selective palates, whatever you want to say, kids who don't want to try new foods, right? And she had been using, there's a specific kind of idea of the division of responsibility where it's like parents, this is the concept, is parents provide the what is available and when, but the kids decide how much they eat of it, right? And she's like, I noticed that concept worked, but there were limitations and it didn't always work for people. So I show you how to incorporate it in around your environment. And I helped her create her signature process around that because of all the limitations that particular division of responsibility can work, but there are other things that you can do to make it more effective. I helped her create her whole signature process. So it goes beyond just that first concept that she originally was teaching, which was like the division of responsibility, right? So what I would love for you to see is that it's normal to go through phase 1. And to be able to start, you just need to be able to help someone. You don't skip this part, you grow through it. When you are ready to go into phase 2, that's when you really move into thought leadership. And that's what I help people do, is create that signature process. So it's like you take your own expertise, you've taken your own experience with your clients, and we meld it together and create your own process. That's when you move into phase 2. That's when you can become a thought leader. And that's when you can be you can charge more money too, because you have a signature way that you know is trusted, that you've worked with through clients, and you've created your own methodology. But what I want you to know is that it's normal to move through phase 1. And it doesn't mean that you can't help people, even if you're taking if you're using certification programs that you've taken or different kind of methodologies and things like that. It's not that you can't use those, and it's not that there's anything wrong with feeling like I don't have my own signature process. The way that you develop your own signature process, and what I do with my clients, is you need to move through phase 1 before you move into phase 2. And so the next big idea that I want to share here is, so that's the difference between phase 1 and phase 2. Phase 1 is you are really just taking the things that you've learned, the different pieces from different mentors, and you're creating your program. And in phase 2 is you've taken all of the knowledge and experience with your clients, and you've developed new ways of applying it, new ideas come to you, and you create that signature process that you become known for, so you can really become a thought leader. That is phase 2. So the thing that I was thinking about for the second big idea for this episode is that building your own frameworks and processes isn't just about feeling more confident in your delivery. it becomes part of your marketing too. So learning about marketing and becoming a better marketer, of course, you really need to do that. It's one of the skills that's going to make you money, right? When you think about skills to make you money, you need to learn how to sell, you need to learn how to market, you need offer creation, which is one of the things that I do. You need to learn all these different skills, how to grow on social media. There's lots of different things the skills that will make you more money in your business, right? And so the classics of marketing, or the foundations of marketing, are very important. But we can enhance and improve your marketing when you're in phase 2 and you have your own frameworks and your own signature processes that you're sharing, because it positions you as a thought leader, and you can also drop the names of processes that you teach people in your marketing that people go, oh my God, I need that thing. So, for example, for me, one of mine is I teach you how to create mini result milestones. So, mini result milestones are the stepping stones that bring you to the final result, right? Bring your clients to the final result. And the reason mini result milestones are so powerful is because it helps people see their progress. It helps them see where they're moving along, and they can check in to see how far they've come. But it also helps you really build trust for people, because they can trust you because they trust your process, your mini result milestones. And also they can begin to trust themselves that they're going to be able to get the transformation, because even if they can't see themselves getting to that end transformation, they might be able to see themselves getting to milestone 1 or milestone 2. So it helps you sell your program. That is one of my signature processes. As I teach you how to develop your own mini result milestones. So here I'll teach you, like, this is what it is that you need to do. But in my program, I'll actually look at your program and I'll help you develop your own mini result milestones. Like in our groups right now, I have people posting, what do you think about this? Does this make sense? Does this make sense? These are my mini result milestones. And I look at your specific business and make it work for you, right? And so when you have your own frameworks, your own signature processes with a clear name, you can talk about them in your marketing and people go, oh my gosh, I need that thing. Oh, wow, she really knows what she's talking about because she has this whole framework, or they really know what they're talking about because they have this whole framework and I can trust the framework. So it really helps you with your marketing, and it helps you with your selling too, really, because sometimes I think people that I work with, you really have this, if you're like most people I work with, you might really, really care about getting people results, and you might worry that something isn't good enough. Or what if you're not good enough? Or what if you're not an expert enough, right? There's always this like, what if this isn't enough underneath some of our fears, right? But if you have a signature process, it helps build up your confidence so that you can trust your process. So it's not even always about you, it's about this process. The process always gets results. It always works, or it really helps people. And so it kind of separates you a little bit. It's not just about what I can do. It's about what the process does. And I can see it as like a separate entity. And so you can trust your process. So it helps you with your sales too, because you can feel more confident in what you deliver and people can see how you work, right? So that's why when you move into phase 2, it can really help you make more money, because you're seen as this thought leader. You can infuse it into your marketing, and you can become known for different ways of speaking about things and how your own perspective and unique approach to the work that you do, and it helps you stand out. And so in this episode, I wanted to also share, as our third big idea, some first steps about turning your experience and current steps and current content or current mentors that you follow, their kind of processes, and how to really develop your own signature process. I wanted to give you some first steps in how I'm developing that now. So I already have a number of different frameworks, like I mentioned earlier, the mini result milestones, different ways that I teach people. But I'm developing new ones right now. And I wanted to kind of give you some behind the scenes as to how I'm doing that. So what it is, usually, I mean, there's a lot of different ways you can develop your own process, but one of the ways that I look at it is it's taking another framework or another body of work or another way of seeing things, or like something you might have learned from a certification, and then you're blending it with your own knowledge, your own expertise, and your own clients, and you're kind of putting it together and building something new. So for example, one of the new pieces that I'm incorporating into my own program, into signature program design, is called Sacred Money Archetypes, SMA. And it is about how it's like your subconscious patterns with money. And there are archetypes. Now, of course, everyone's a special flower, and you don't always, like everyone's going to have, there's going to be nuance to it, right? But it's like any kind of personality framework that gives you insight into how you operate. This one really shows you how you operate with money, which is so crucial when you develop your program, because everything that you put into your program, how people buy your program, how much the support you offer, your delivery, like it's all really rooted in your maybe known or unknown money beliefs, right? And so I'm really seeing with my clients over the last year or two that some of their sabotages and some of their strengths, I can predict them because I get to know their archetype. And I always included it kind of in my coaching. I knew like I can pick up on it faster. Like, oh, I can see she's a ruler and she's going into like overworking and like stressing and like working. And I need to pull her out of that. Or I'll see like, oh, like one of my nurturer clients, like she's giving a lot away for free. She's burning herself out. I need to like pull her back and like give her permission to charge for things and things like that. And so I knew that that was a thing, but I never really had explicitly taught it to my clients so they could start to pick up on their own strengths and sabotages and avoid more of your sabotages, more awareness, right? And also even in how they design their programs, how people buy your program, what people need to hear in order to buy it. I knew that, but I wasn't explicitly teaching it. And so what I'm doing now is developing something new is SMA, Sacred Money Archetypes. You can do a certification in it, hence where I got this information from. You can do a certification in it from the founder of it. You can learn from Kendall Summerhawk. You can learn from Denise Duffield Thomas. She does a program on archetypes in your business in general, right? Which is also where I learned it. Fabulous course. But I wanted to take some of that knowledge and superimpose it with my own knowledge and experience and create something new from it, and how you can use your money archetype to develop your program, to develop your signature process, to how you position your program offer, how you position your offer through the lens of SMA. So it's like a blend of what I've learned from that certification mixed with my own knowledge. And that's what I'm developing and moving into my programs, which is so exciting. And so it develops my own, like I'm still going to quote like where I got certain pieces from for sure. And I'm going to mention like, yes, these are my mentors, but I'm also going to show you I have my own unique lens because I've been helping people develop signature programs. I was a curriculum writer. I've been doing this for 7 years, and I've run all sorts of different programs because I'm a creator. I constantly create new things, and my gosh, don't do that. Stick with one thing. I have learned that the hard way. But anyway, I have all of my own expertise that and my own lens that I can put into it, and I can create something new. And so that's kind of the first steps to think about is what frameworks, methodologies are you currently using, and what experience, knowledge, and what makes you unique, and then blending the two together to create something new. That's kind of like the first step of it. So concrete example, one of the things that I'm going to first create in my program is how you can develop your own program and what your program model should look like based on your archetypes and your top archetypes, right? And how your sabotages might come up in your model. So like if you have a blend of a ruler and a nurturer, you might have a tendency of working really, really hard and really like over delivering for your clients. And there's nothing wrong with over delivering your clients as long as you have overflow, right? And so if you are putting too much in your program and you're undercharging for it, you're not going to be able to, by the way, I've done these things. I mean, that's why I understand them so well, but you're not going to understand, like, you're not going to necessarily be profitable, and you're not going to be able to have the money to invest back into your program if you're not making enough and you're delivering so much to your clients that you don't have time to market it. You don't have space to market it. You don't have space to recover. You don't have space to create new ideas, to really connect with your people because you're doing so much. I'm going to help you create a program model and an offer that helps you see, like, okay, these are some of my sabotages. I need to be aware of those. Where do I need to price my offer so that I'm still, like, it's still win-win pricing for us, for my client and for me? How can I know that I have a tendency to overcreate as a ruler? So how can I put more ease into my program? Like, those are the pieces that we're going to look at in program models. And I will go through different phases in my own program and be infusing some of SMA and the stuff that I already teach. So first steps for you is, if you are wanting to move from phase 1 into phase 2, that's what I help you do, of course. But the first steps would be to think about what is some frameworks that you want to incorporate, existing frameworks and ways of seeing your like different methodologies or modalities or frameworks that you already use, mixed with your own unique lens, your own unique experience, your clients, that can develop your signature process. That's the first kind of step to developing yours. So I hope this episode was helpful for you. Recapping, we talked about the difference between phase 1 and phase 2. Phase 1, you're likely taking a lot of different maybe methodologies, certifications, mentor knowledge, and you're putting it into a program. And a lot of it is pieces that you've learned from other people, which is okay because you're still helping people, right? And then phase 2 is when you take those elements, but then you make them your own and you develop your own signature process. And when you have your signature process, you're going to marketing. It's going to enhance your marketing. It's going to make your sales easier. You're going to be able to make more money because your selling is easier, and you become known as a thought leader in your specific field because you have these unique processes, these unique frameworks that you take people through that are trusted and that you have gotten results with. And then the last thing we talked about is how you can start to create your signature process. And the first step is to think about what certifications and research and knowledge you have from other people and your own experience, your own lens, your own perspective, and how can you marry the two together. That can become a first step for creating your own signature process. So I hope this episode was helpful for you. If it was, leave me a review. I would love to hear your experience with the podcast. Any ahas that you have, leave me a review. I look at every one, and I will see you on the next episode of the Align and Inspire podcast.